Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney. On this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. Yoink. You're going to notice a lot of mess back here. I'm getting together a bunch of stuff for donations. I shut down my New York City apartment, and now I have 2 wardrobes, and I do not need 2 wardrobes. I can only wear un wardrobe of clothing. So I'm gathering a bunch of donations to take to the local donation center, and it is super messy, and I'm sorry, but I have to go to New York tonight, in fact, and I didn't put up a new live video yesterday, so I owe you a video today, and I need to make a couple of videos in the can. So instead of cleaning up my office and putting all these clothes away, I will be making you videos with a dirty, well, cluttered, not dirty, but cluttered office behind me. We have a question here from YouTube user Chris Y. I'm not going to use your last name because I don't want anybody Googling this and finding you and finding stuff about your case or anything like that. Chris Y asked us, or stated, the first offer usually feels like a slap in the face. And I believe Chris is referring to the first settlement offer. The second or third offer is much more revealing in terms of the ballpark they want to play in. And Chris posted that on our video entitled, "Is it common for an employer to reject your demand and counter with a lower settlement figure?" So the answer is yes, right? Whatever your opening demand is, the employer's not going to be like, yes, very rarely, right? I mean, listen, have I had cases where the bad actor calls me up on a Saturday and like, hey, got your letter last night. How many zeros do you want in the check? Yes. I mean, I'm being facetious. Obviously, they didn't say that. But I've received calls on weekends from people. I'm like, how did you get my cell phone? What? How did you find me? They're like, yeah, not important. I need to cut you a check. I got your letter. You don't need to tell, like, my business partners or my spouse about this, right? Oh, okay. Let me check with my client. Let me make sure they're okay with that. If they are, then yeah, sure. My goal is to help my client. It doesn't have to be to hurt you. Hurting you is incidental. It's just a thing I do to help my client, right? So, listen, does that happen? Sure. Sure. But Chris Y's point is very well taken. You would not believe how often the first offer, the first counter offer from an employer, because, of course, in this field, the plaintiff makes the demand. The plaintiff's the one starting the action, so they're the one making the demand. They will make a demand, like hypothetically, let's say just $500,000, right? They've been talking with us. We've done a damage calculation. That's what we think the correct opening demand is for all the reasons that we've discussed. And there's a ton of settlement negotiation videos about arriving at that initial demand, right? But remember, your initial demand, if you settle your case, is not what you're going to receive. It's also, if you win your case at trial, not what you're going to receive. Generally, if you win at trial, you will often win more than your initial demand, although there's no guarantee. If you settle the case, you will almost certainly settle for less than your initial demand. That does not mean your initial demand should be silly. Your initial demand matters very, very much. It is a signaling device. So too is your employer's counter, right? And that's why Chris's point is so well taken, because he says the first offer usually feels like a slap in the face. Absolutely. So we go in at $500,000, $500K, right? And the employer's like, oh, yeah, we would do 20 grand. Often the client, the plaintiff, will say, oh, they don't want to settle this at all. That's not my read. My read on them starting at 20 grand is they think this is going to go over 6 figures. They don't agree with 500K, but they do intend to make you offers over 100K, and we're not sure how many 100K, but like they're signaling by starting at 20K, they intend to get 6 figures. Often that's my read. Not a perfect read. Different defense attorneys are different human beings. They do different things, right? By the same token, let's say you open with a demand at 500K and they come at you with 2,500 or 500. They're signaling, hey, we're currently treating this like nuisance value. We don't think you can win this, or we don't think you're going to go forward. We think you want to settle, and you're not going to cause us that much trouble, so we're not going to offer you a lot of money. That's often my read on a $500 to $2,500 offer. Not always. Listen, there's attorneys who always just open at 2,500 to see what they can get. They're fishing for cheap settlements, and there's a lot of attorneys who'll do that. There's an idiot. This is very. I mean, he's a very wealthy defense partner, Michael W. We'll call him, who will like every single time make an absurd counteroffer, like 2,500, and he'll just lie about the law. He'll be like, "That's not retaliation because the retaliation law says you have to stab someone for it to be retaliation." You're like, it's not the law, Michael. It's not the law. It's never been the law. That doesn't even make sense. That you would have to be a fucking moron to say that's the law. And Michael's like, "That's the law. I'm telling you. I'm very important. That's the law." You're just like, "Oh, okay, Michael. Can you put an adult?" I mean, he's like 50, but like, can you put an adult? I'm like, can you get your associate? Like, can I talk to someone who actually runs cases and doesn't just rainmake? Like, I need an adult in the room, Michael W. And he's like, "No, it's not retaliation. We're not going to offer you anymore." And then he'll get off the phone. And like a week later, you're like, "Hey, you're Michael W.'s associate, right?" And they're like, Yeah. So I think you made a demand of $500K, right?" I was like, "Yeah." "You countered with $500 and lied about the law." Like, well, I didn't. I'm the one running the case now, and I didn't do those things. "Do you have a counter to the 2,500 or what? Whatever it was." Like, sure. $499,000, right? Which maybe you might do to make a point, and the associate might be like, "Yeah, wow, boy, I'd love to just make a little bit of a leap here. Maybe I'll go to like 40 grand as my second move." And you're like, "Oh, thank you for changing your signaling," right? That's still insulting given the strengths of our case, but I understand now that you're signaling, and you're signaling in good faith that you intend to pay something north, probably well over six figures, right? That's often what a 40K leap out of the gate will mean, right? And here's the issue. Idiots like Michael W. will enrage plaintiffs, and they will shut down settlement negotiations. The plaintiff's like, "I will burn all this down. I will go to trial." Is that good for the plaintiff? It might be. It might not be. It depends on their appetite for risk, and also depends if they want things to go to public, the arrangement they have with their attorneys. So, like, stupid defense attorneys will make cases worse, routinely. Let me assure you, Michael W. is a stupid man. His clients love him, and they throw money at him, so he must tell them what they want to hear, right? And he probably tells them, "I'm a bulldog. I go in there, and I tell them how it's going to be." You're like, okay. And you drive up how much your clients eventually pay with your asinine asshattery, right? But, okay, Michael W., fair enough. It's a free country. You can litigate any way you wish. I think you're harming your clients more often than not. His office is on 3rd Avenue. He's a fuckwit. That being said, part of the plaintiff's job is to listen, even when it's insulting, even when it feels like a slap in the face, right? If someone's going to sit around and talk about giving you money, it is our job, and theoretically your job, to at least hear them out. Doesn't mean you have to agree. And if the mediation or the settlement negotiations are costing your well-being too much, then we will stop. That is not worth it, right? Your well-being is a slowly regenerating resource and must be treated as such. So, like, we can't let them harm you because they want to play number games. But as long as you're within the realm of being okay with what's going on, it pays to listen. Every step up is a step up. It's really hard for the defendants to go back down again in a settlement negotiation. Can it happen? Sure. Excuse me. I mean, listen, if something changes in your case or they catch you in a massive lie or the evidence just doesn't come out the way you want, they can certainly go down there. Like, listen, that was then, this is now, things are different. Situations change, right? But generally speaking, to Chris Y's point, although the first offer seems like a slap in the face, the second or third offer is much more revealing in terms of the ballpark they want to play in. That is, I mean, listen, I think the first offer is a signal as well, but things get less insulting fairly rapidly. They will remain insulting. Even the final settlement amount that the plaintiff accepts will often feel insulting to the plaintiff because it's hedging for risk, because the law does not reflect the way we feel damages should be applied, right? Like the amount of harm someone experiences from a case of workplace discrimination or workplace sexual harassment is truly tremendous. And the laws, in my opinion, don't really quantify that harm, right? Even the concept of attaching a dollar figure to these damages is a bit silly. That's not really going to make people whole in the way we want. However, the law is the law, it's written as it is, and money is the recourse, and the damages are calculated as they're calculated, right? So we can feel the law is wrong. We can feel this is unreasonable and the dollar figure is not the right amount, yet that dollar figure could still be the rational choice. If you're hedging for risk, you're being smart with your money, you know what you want, you don't want to go to trial, you don't want to embrace the risk of trial, whatever it is, you might choose to accept a settlement that you still feel is galling and unappealing and insulting. I never like to see that. But notably, it's always far better for me to risk everything and go to trial. Like it's better for our firm to go to trial. We prefer that. What you might win at trial is often significantly more than what you can get in settlement on a case. That being said, not every case is a good bet for trial. Not every witness can testify properly, right? Like there's a lot of cases where you're like, you should not go to trial. This is not. Listen, we'll be thrilled to risk it, but like you're throwing this money away. Like I talk to you a lot because you're a client here, and the things you say, they do not give me confidence in you winning this trial. They don't give me confidence that the jury's not going to punch you in the face because you love to run your mouth and you say some dumbass shit. I believe bad things happen to you. I believe you were wronged. I also know fundamentally that you're an asshole. Those two things are not mutually exclusive, right? Or, right. So it's hard for an asshole to win sometimes. If you're going to get on the stand and behave like an asshole, everyone's going to hate you, and they might believe bad things were done to you, but they might still not want to give you money, right? Also, listen, there's people who can't tell their story. They just don't have the capability, whether it's based on how they communicate, based on the anxiety they feel in a deposition or in court, based on their memory, based on their ability to withstand aggressive questioning, right? Like there's so many ways that trial cannot be a good choice for someone. And that's why, some of the reasons why at least, settlement is so prevalent in this field. Less than 2% of cases in this field, I believe, go to trial. Certainly that's true for our firm. So you see what I'm saying? Every level of settlement talks will be galling. Every level of settlement talks will feel shitty. At no point will most plaintiffs feel truly and completely vindicated by settlement talks. It's rare. And the people who do feel that way, they have a fully built out understanding of the risks of litigation and what is best for them as an individual, and that's how they get to the conclusion that, yeah, I feel vindicated. They're on the run here. They know I'm right. But it's rare. It's rare that someone would feel that way. So, Chris, why? Thank you for the chiming in. Thank you for that statement. I think it's really insightful, and I just want to comment on it and basically tell everyone how right you are. Take care. Oh, yeah. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you think. A lot of people are going to be like, Vince, you're selling people out. You shouldn't tell people to settle if they don't think it's right. That's not the gig. The gig is to tell you it's the law. The gig is to tell you the risks. The gig is to have those conversations. The client makes the settlement call. The client makes the decisions, right? I just give the advice. And it is, in fact, my job to give good advice, not to just pump you up meaninglessly. Like, we got this. Bah, 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 bah. We're going to win at trial no matter what. Bah, 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 bah. That's malpractice. That's just unethical, wrong, and stupid, right? I'm not going to do that. But I would love to hear, because a lot of people are like, oh, you put pressure on people because you're telling the risks of their case and this and that. Let's have that conversation in the comments down below. I would love to have that conversation with you. Love to talk it out. Love to have more videos about that. I'll throw it all in the frank settlement discussions with your attorney playlist. But anyways, like, subscribe, comment down below, share the channel so it can grow. Take care.